We're gonna wave.
Hello everybody, Tom Matuska and Brett Wingfield here. Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company live Thursday afternoon once again. And it's great to have all of you with us again, and it's kind of fun hearing all the comments that you text in and trying to show you a few things and watching some of our successes and some of our not so successes. And it's just kind of fun. And we have a lot of familiar people that text in, and we see, you can't believe how many people watch us from week to week to week. And
from all over.
All over. And I always
over.
tell them, they say, I never miss you. I never miss an episode. And they are an episode. It's kind of like, you know, a medical episode. But I always tell them, you need to get a second job, or you need to do something, because there may be a better way to spend your Thursday afternoons. Anyway, it's great to have you here. And if you've seen us the last couple weeks, we've done working on a pack mount, and this is our version of a pack mount. They're a little bit new to us, and so there's a lot of discussion on how live do you want a dead deer to look, or how dead do you want a dead deer to look? And we're trying to walk a fine line, and we're getting criticized here and there because they're looking a little too good. Well, we kind of want them looking good. We don't want a customer to hang something on the wall that looks like he drug it behind the car. So we're, what did you call it? You called it? Tastefully dead. So we're trying to do something that looks nice. And if you've watched us last week, we set the ears in clay, and we do this on all of our deer mounts, all of our game mounts really, or everything. We build the ear butts out of critter clay or animal clay, and we actually model them right onto we use buttless ears. These are Kerry Cochran's ear liners, and no matter whose we use use critter clay, and we try to rebuild the ear detail. And we showed you last week, we used Mark Gonering's study casts, and we get in animals all the time that we're not familiar with. We get in a lot of African animals, and I mean Cape buffalo and kudu and things like that. And I said last week I might be really chastised for this, but by using a whitetail ear liner and making it size appropriate for the animal that you're doing, we fooled a lot of people. And they go, wow, those are the nicest, you know, gemsbuck ears we've ever seen. And well, we just kind of did what we learned on whitetail and mule deer, and we get by really, really well. So those casts, just because they say they're whitetail deer, we use them for everything and just make them kind of size appropriate, because animals which have ears like that, they all function the same. They have the same muscles, maybe larger or smaller in certain areas, but it's worked for us over the years. So we modeled on the ears. Now, to keep those ears from falling apart and having our clay fall off of there, we painted them with Pro 1 hide paste. Yep. And Pro 1 hide paste puts on a kind of like a saran wrap plastic coating over them, and when it dries down, hopefully it's going to hold that clay to our ear liner. And the reason we do this is the results are much better than taking a tennis ball wad of clay and forming it into a ball and cramming it in against your buttless ear liner. You'll get much, much, much nicer results, is why we do this. And I love to see what we're going to get before we get it. So I know what this is going to look like if you can make it look like this without the hair on. So I have a pretty good idea. We set the eyes. Eyes have been set in critter clay also. Yep. And they're all ready to go. This is one of our precision noses on an XP. This is an XP change-out head. Yep. And yep. I think they are available. Are they available in kits now? To where, yes. Where you can get a change-out head for your pack mount. You can get a set of ears. You can get the eyes. If the nose if there's a nose available for that head, you can get it for the nose.
I don't know if the nose comes in the kits yet.
Okay.
But I think the nose, they can order.
But you can order it, and you can either cut it off, or you can get it you know, like these.
Pre-made.
So anyway, that's kind of a new thing for us, is the change out heads. And this change out head we added, this is the length of the change out head. We added a little bit, and we made a offset.
Yep.
So
little attitude.
we didn't want, and some people want it real symmetrical right off the pack, and we were just trying to do something a little bit different. And so we angled it on the back, so this head is going to be a little bit, I suppose, 3/4 off of the pack mount. And with that, the next thing I think we're going to do, you're finishing up splitting the ears for me, and we're going to glue in the ears and show you this would apply no matter whether it was to, you know, a pack mount or a bear or a deer or whatever it happens to be, an African animal. We treat our ears the same way. We are pretty big advocates of ear liners. A lot of you can do a pretty successful Bondo ear or auto body ear. I am not very good at that. I tend to get lumps and bumps, and I think I've given it a fair shot over the years and have never had really, really good success with that. And ear liners gives us the best results, so that's what we do in our shop. So we remove all of the cartilage on our deer ear except way down in the ear canal. We leave a little bit in the ear canal, which holds our shape, which keeps us from having to rebuild down inside of the ear. Once our mount is done and all the finish work is done, you can look down in the ear and you'll be impressed at how realistic the inner ear and the auricle looks. It looks really, really nice. And we did that by leaving in a little bit of the cartilage.
I think they're about
It's
ready
time
for
to
you.
go?
I think so.
All right. We're going to try to move along a little bit fast today because I think we're going to try to mount this, right?
I think so.
And that's fast for us.
We better go fast.
Usually we stretch this out for many, many, many days. Let's see. I'm going to do this ear first. Okay, to do ears, treatment of your ears and your ear liner is very important. So once you modeled on that ear, you painted it with Pro 1 hide paste or your favorite hide paste, preferably not the dextrin based.
Yep.
Like one of the white hide paste, Derma Pro 1, those type of hide paste. And I think you even painted it up the ear a little bit and inside.
The whole ear liner. Yep, covered the whole ear liner.
And we find that sticks much, much better. When gluing this into the ear liner, if the ear liner's been pre-glued, it works really well. We roughed up that ear liner real good on the inside. We used our little detail form rougher.
Yep. Roughed
him up inside and out. And now, this is a hide that we tanned ourselves, I believe. The ear all the cartilage has been out. This is the small amount that we leave at the end that's going to go down inside of our ear liner. I'm going to take a little lacquer thinner. I need to wash this, and I want to get off any oils. When we tan hides in the shop, we often get tanning oil on our ear skin, and that oil, to me, I think is going to inhibit the glue from sticking. And lacquer thinner seems to be a good product for us. Wear rubber gloves is a good idea.
It is a very good idea. Do as we say, not as we do.
Yeah, don't do as I do as I say.
Yeah.
A lot of lacquer thinner eats a lot of rubber gloves, and I went over to grab a pair of rubber gloves, and the pair that doesn't eat up, I think the black ones, nitrile, what they are, those were mediums, and I pulled my thumb off. Okay, now I've washed it with lacquer thinner. I think I got it nice and cleaned off from any oils. Now I'm going to take a hair dryer, and I'm not going to use hot. I'm going to use kind of semi-warm, medium. Oh, hello everybody. And now I don't want to toast this. I just want to get the surface lacquer thinner off. Now, you can always tell especially if you're inexperienced and don't know if your ears are split to the edges, you're going to want to feel really, really good the edges to make sure it's split, and you'll feel that flap going back and forth. But once, I like to stick the hairdryer in here and poof it out like a balloon, and once you see that shape, you'll recognize it as a split ear all the way. Okay, now I've dried it. It's semi-dry. If I should get this too dry and think that when this gets too dry, there's no stretch left. So if I get it too dry, I want to back up and moisten it again, and we'll just take a little bit of water and give it a little spritz. The next thing I like to do is take a Sureform or a foam rougher, and I'm just going to rough up, and you can see the suede leather, and I'm doing this to the inside of the ear, and my thinking is those little bitty leather tags that are sticking up, that glue is going to grab onto it. And it'll give, otherwise that skin, once it's washed and dried, it's real slick and slippery. But if you look real close here, I have all kinds of little hairs that have emerged. They're not hairs, they're leather that I've scraped up, and I'm counting on that to stick to my glue and stick my glue to my ear liner. Now if you get real rough doing this, you could tear your ears, and then you're in for a sew job. And this works best after you've washed them in the lacquer thinner and just before inserting the ear. And you don't have to spend a lot of time doing this, but now I have I got a whole bunch of little threads of leather sticking up. All right, now I'm going to turn this inside out a little bit. And it's always a good idea to test fit your ear liner before you get to this point too. We have, most of our ears come in 3 sizes, small, medium, and large. And I would say that 85, 89 out of 100 of ours are mediums. Okay, now I'm going to take my ear that Brett modeled on the other day, and I'm going to cut this clay around the perimeter. Now, ideally this sits for overnight, and you're going to do it the next day. It works best if you do it the next day. But this one has sat for a week, and it's a little bit dry. So that's going to work just fine. So now what I have is my buttless ear canal, buttless ear, and with the clay that Brett built on here in a pretty convincing ear muscle.
That's a dead ear
muscle. Okay, now our glue of choice, you can use any of your hide paste. You can use your Pro 1 will work good. A lot of different glues work good. We've been using Derma Grip pink ear liner adhesive, and the best part of it is there's no, two things. One, it sticks exceptionally well. It sticks very well. And the other thing is it colors the ear skin.
It does.
Really
it does.
pretty.
That color comes through really nice. And it's usually in the 2nd and 3rd day that it starts to really show up nice.
So I'm just going to get my cavity for the ear, and I'm going to take the pink ear liner adhesive. Now in the past, we've dyed our ears and done all kinds of different things to give us color, but nothing has worked as good as this. We like this stuff. And done right, it sticks well.
It sticks like crazy. It's been really good. Really good for us.
Now, if you shortcut the washing, if you shortcut the lacquer thinner, if you don't rough it up, things might not stick. And even if you do everything exactly the way we recommend, it's possible that it doesn't stick.
But because it's water-based, they can go back and inject.
Sure.
And it's thin. That's the nice thing about the pink, is it's thin and it injects very nicely too.
Now, if you split your ears to the edges, this should slide in if you have the right size ear liner. And this is a medium. And here in Midwestern Iowa, like I said, mostly mediums. We'll have rarely a small, but we do sometimes. Very rarely a large, but we do sometimes. Okay, now to move this around on here, this works really well. And you can gently coax. Don't pull or yank or prod or anything like that. And that ear liner is like a knife blade inside there. It can cut right through your seam real easily. And as I stick it in, I'm being careful because even though that clay has sat and it's got Pro 1 on it, even though it should be nice and strong, and critter clay is a very strong clay, you can bust it off. And then I'm gonna, just to save time, I would spend a little more time lining up these edges, but we are gonna try to get this mounted, so we're gonna speed this up and we can do the edges once it's on the animal.
All right, we've got quite a few people tuning in. We've got Birdman Grey, who says he's a 14-year-old starting dermis. I've been watching your videos and they have helped me so much. Thanks. He meant, oh, you fixed it. He meant taxidermist.
Got it.
He's 14 years old?
Yes.
I want to see him, well, I won't, but I'd like to see him in 20 years and after starting at 14. That's the time to start. That's
yeah,
excellent.
That is. We've had a few younger ones on the phone lately that have called in for some help.
We have, I don't know his name, and I have talked to him on the phone, and you have too, and he is so mature.
I know.
And he talks like he's been in business for a long time, and I don't think he's over 12 or something like that.
Yeah.
Could I borrow your brush?
Yeah.
I goobered mine all up. That one, yeah. He was doing birds, and his terminology that he already knows at such a young age makes me jealous.
Far advanced. Well, while you get that second one ready, should I cut the ear off for you?
Sure, do that, and then we got an eye to set yet too, don't we?
We only set one eye last week. I
Kind
wonder,
of like a fish mount on the back, on the wall side. Maybe we don't need one.
This is the sleepy eye, the winking eye.
That's a town. That's a town in
Sleepy
Minnesota.
eye. Can I borrow your knife?
You can borrow my knife. I might have a lot of stuff you're going to need.
I'm just gonna take this off for you. Okay. We'll cut this one off just like we did the other. This one we set just a little while ago, so it's not gonna be as brittle. And that one hopefully comes off nice and easy.
This is speed mounting. We usually do about 10 to 12 of these pack mounts a day. So with two of us doing this,
We've got a tremendous system worked out for doing this.
there's a lot of people, there are people like that do.
Oh, there are.
Do so many. There was, when I was new into the business, there was some Western South Dakota in the Black Hills that did a dozen deer a day.
Oh,
I mean, like a 1 to 2 man operation. And I asked Marty Hansen one time, I said, how do they look? He said, better than they used to.
That's what they say about us too.
We are not speed mounters.
Never been accused of that.
Maybe because we can't, but mostly because our excuse is we try to do things a little better. That's our goal.
That is our goal. So we're gonna put this one in just like we did last week, leveling the pupil. We'll give it a heavier, little bit of a saggy brow. One thing that I've noticed when we've helped students this past couple of weeks with their deer heads is that we notice a lot of students like to start by putting their clay up on the form and bringing it down onto the eye, and then they get a real heavy application. And something that I think has helped in minimizing that, I don't know, Caitlin, if I've got a decent angle for you to see, but is to take and shape your eye shape against the glass first to create your shape, and then we'll worry about blending it onto the form. So we're going to kind of get our expression first, and then we're going to come up here onto the form. So I've got a little bit of gap right there. I'm just going to fill that in. But we'll do that much. Give us a nice little start for our dead eyes. And I don't know if you can you do dead eyes wrong?
Do what?
Can you do dead eyes wrong?
Somebody's gonna instruct us, yes?
All right, Tara Hubner is wondering if you used a wet tan.
Hi, Tara.
Yeah, and this is a tan that, no, kinda. This is one that we tanned ourselves. So our method of tanning is to, we used Liquitan on this, or we actually used Truebond on it. It's a rub-on tan. And then we like to dry our hides. So we did the neutralize, rinse, yeah. And then we spin them out in the washing machine. We put on a Truebond, and then we allow them to dry hard. This hide was as hard as a piece of jerky. I mean, it was hard. They soak up really, really fast. So we have rehydrated it. So now we have kind of a wet tan, I guess you'd call it. Yeah. It's similar to what a wet tan would be.
And then Tammy Cruciati is wondering, how long does the derma grip take to set?
The derma grip on the ears takes to set 2 hours around the edges. By the time you sew it up, you're getting to the point where you better be getting your edges right.
Yep.
And then inside longer.
You've got a day to stick it down. You can, if you put them together at the end of the day, you can probably stick it down tomorrow. But it's water-based, so based on humidity in your shop and dry conditions. Another thing that we've got yet to do, we cut the lip slot last week. We have a little bit more roughing to do. So we've got a little bit here, but this deer we're going to use the artificial nose, the cast nose, and it helps a lot to rough that nose. And so we're just going to go right over that surface as well with the detail rougher to get good adhesion. Not as pretty as it was a few seconds ago, but it's going to stick good, and that's what we really want. And also, it helps to make sure that you've also roughed the interior, especially on the bottom of the interior of the nostril of this. And the reason is because that's a pretty slick surface, and we want to butt that skin, the inner nostril skin, up to the edge inside. And so I'm just going to go over that and just loosen that, or rough that up with a little file here.
And for those of you joining us late, I'm gluing these ears in with a Pillsbury product. It's called cupcake icing and cherry flavor. No, it's not really. It's Derma Grip pink ear liner adhesive.
Oh, that's pretty fun.
Watch, we'll get calls.
We will. Hey, where do you got that Pillsbury stuff? Where do you get that stuff from? Also, this nose is made from a medium Midwestern whitetail. It fits a wide variety of forms, but we've got it really close fitting to the XP 7.5 inch head. And so you've got a real nice transition here. If you needed to alter that slightly, depending upon your mannequin of choice, you can certainly do that. You can take this, you can sand the foam back, you can extend the pink cast material with an epoxy, you can do that with critter clay, you can do that with anything. You just want to make sure that you don't have a rough edge, or what did you call it? Looked like a mole had tunneled under your under your mannequin between where the foam and the plastic come together. So I might take just a tiny bit of critter clay. If you're going to do very much of this, I'd kind of suggest, I think I might get beat up for this, but I think an epoxy material would be my choice, because I don't want it to, you don't want to get dents in it. You don't, when you're mounting it, and I like to manipulate the skin a little bit, so, but I'm going to put just a little bit of critter clay right around that transition, because this one fits so nice and smooth. I saw Tara's message, and I feel bad because I didn't get back to her, so I hope she's getting out of this what she needed to.
No.
I know. I'm going to get in trouble.
All right, then we've got Don Alstad, who is saying that he just received his pack mount kit and is wondering if the mannequins have the plywood back in them for attaching to a stand like you have there.
No, we put that in, and if you watch our last week before,
maybe week before, 2 weeks ago,
we showed you how to do that. We took a piece of, I don't know, 1/2 inch plywood, I think, and stuck it in. We drilled it out with a Dremel.
And Brian Schmidt is wondering if you mount the deer the next day when the clay hasn't dried too much, do you take the whole thing off or pop the liner out separate?
Take the whole thing off. Is talking about the ear butts?
Yep.
Yes, take the whole thing off. And that's the, I don't know, we started doing this years ago when Mike Yeska, Brian Olson, Pat Wagner would go to the shows, and they would have people practice building earbuds. Yeah. And nobody really knew what they were doing. They'd make a real nice earbud and say, this is the way to do it. But then they had then Mark came out with the casts, you know, and it was kind of fun because there was beginners that made beautiful, beautiful ear muscling, and that really does show in the final product. It really does, and you're going to get a real professional mount that's going to impress any customer if the ears are done right. And I mean, even if you're not 100% accurate like the real deer, it's going to be way better, like I always say, than packing a tennis ball in the ear canal. And from there, we started showing students how to do that because it was just good anatomy training. And from there, we ended up doing it on our customers. And we think we get a really professional product. I mean, I just get, you brush out these ears and groom them a little bit, and I just get excited at the look of the shape.
Makes an awfully nice ear. It really does.
And you don't have to, I mean, get them as close as you can now, but so that you're happy with the shape, but keep coming back to them, because as you're sewing, this ear is going to be laying against the form or something, and it's going to deform, and you don't want that glue to set in there. Look at the shape of this ear, and look how pretty that is. This is just a really nice shaped ear, and as it dries down, it's going to get even better yet. If they look good now and you got them split to the edges and aligned properly, tomorrow morning, if they're all still lined up, that's going to be a pretty ear. And then always check. Long time ago, I learned through Leroy Martinez. Most of you will never know who that was. Leroy Martinez made flexiforms, and Jonas carried Leroy Martinez flexiforms. But he said if ears drummed, it was because your ear skin dried before the glue was able to adhere. And so we are always putting a damp towel in here or putting a baggie over our ears overnight just to keep that skin have a little bit of moisture in that skin. Okay, I think these are good to go for right now.
I put just the absolute thinnest layer I could possibly put of clay on the front of this nose, this artificial nose. It really doesn't need much, and especially with the skin thinned properly and a really nice smooth transition, you should not need much clay on the nose at all. So I've got you a little bit of that. Are we almost ready?
I think I'm ready.
Should I put a little glue on his face?
Do it.
I will, and I'm going to use some Pro One, and my bucket's too heavy to put on the counter. So I'm just going to dig down here into our mystery bucket.
We use a lot of Pro One.
We do. We do. It's good stuff. It works good for us. This deer, I think you mentioned last week, but worth mentioning for those that didn't get to see or might have forgotten. This cape's open all the way up the back. So if it were tube cut, we would remove the antlers. But because it's not tube cut, we're just going to sew it up right on the back of the neck. We'd have to sew it up anyways. So we'll just leave him right there. I'm going to put just a little bit of clay.
And then Jerry Morris is wondering if you can explain why you leave the cartilage on the lower ear canal.
Yes, I can. Because it's a real cheaty way, and once upon a time, I was mounting I want to say back then it was a black-tailed deer for competition. And I wasn't confident in a couple things. One, I wasn't confident in my ability to reconstruct that down in there. I'd done it a lot on commercial mounts and things like that, and I'm not thinking that's a very good thing. And so I think, what if I leave that where it starts getting knobby and bumpy and the little ear canal goes down, what if I leave that and I let it dry? And what am I going to get? I'm going to get dock to point for shrinkage, you know? I'll paint it fleshy and pinky and things like that. And so I left that in there and thinking I'm kind of clever. And it dried kind of nice. And so I entered it in the competition, and the judge said, I'm not sure was it Jody Slusher? Is that who it was?
Oh, maybe.
Said, nice inner ear detail. I went, wow, it worked, you know, nice inner ear detail by not taking the cartilage out. And if I look down here, look at this. You can see, if I can get the hair out of there, it looks pretty good, doesn't it?
It does. It looks really good.
And it's going to shrink. Who can tell? Nobody can tell. And so the next deer I did the same thing, and it was a whitetail, and I got another comment. Nice inner ear detail. So I'm thinking I'm onto something. Well, I thought I invented that method until I was talking to Pat Wagner one time, and he said he does that. And I thought, that's my invention. But it works pretty good. It gives you a nice inner ear. You do have to trim it up a little bit, and you do have to peel it back quite a bit. But it will look pretty nice on the inside.
And then Tara is wondering what will happen if you roll up a wet tan on a pack mount?
We knew that question was coming.
We knew that.
We're going to, I think it's going to dry hard. And I think what we're going to do on this is we have Truebond 1000B. And we have used Truebond 1000B in the past on back skins, and that's what it's for. It's for the back skin. And we did I think I've done a fallow and an axis deer so far, and it really, really leaves a pretty darn soft piece of leather. And I think that's what we're going to do with this. Otherwise, it's going to get pretty hard.
And we talked about it a little ahead of time, we might actually leave it hang for a day or two to kind of let the moisture dry out of the skin so it doesn't mold. And then roll it up a day or two after it dries some. I wouldn't, be careful that it's not soppy wet.
And Allison Balog says to tell Brett and Tom I said.
Allison, we were supposed to do a fancy wave for the students.
That's a Georgia peach.
That is the...
And a 14-year-old Birdman Grey is wondering if you guys would recommend to go to taxidermy school or try to teach himself.
Oh, man. That's a hard one to answer.
I had a terrible time teaching myself.
And you're a pretty good teacher.
But I'm not a very good student.
I think at 14, he's got a lot of opportunity to learn on his own. Try little projects. Don't be afraid to experiment. And a few years down the road, if you think that this is something you really like to do and you've gained a little bit of knowledge from here and maybe even a taxidermy show or two, you think that's what you want to do, a taxidermy school is a tremendous investment and a really good way to jumpstart your taxidermy profession. But at 14, you are way ahead of the game, way ahead of most.
I always tell people the way I started is I was 12 years old and I had a largemouth bass mounted. And I got it back, and in those days, which I shouldn't tell anybody, it was a long time ago, in those days, it was the finest largemouth bass anybody had seen. It was stunning. It was just stunning. And I still think today, I still have it, looking back, it's very good for as old as that was. That made me want to go to taxidermy school. That made me want to be a taxidermist.
Sure.
I want to be that person because it was so good. I had the same person do a duck for me, and the duck was so horrendous. The same person was so horrendous that I can do this better. I got to learn how to do it because I can do it better. And that's how I got here.
That's a big motivator. Better is a big motivator. I kind of came from the same cause. I wanted to do it better than I had seen it done before. We are just going to start. I think we're just going to gang up on him now.
Down?
What's that?
Need to go upside down?
I think I'm okay. I can do this if you want to keep working on some of your stuff. Now at this point in time, I think we'd treat this like any other deer head that we're going to mount, a shoulder mount. And we're just going to start tucking lips and tucking eyes and putting things where they go. We're going to have some sewing to do, which we probably don't need to show them, do we?
We have a big wood block in this one. There we go.
Right in the base of the ear.
This is one of the products that we mentioned on the remainder of this hide. And I think Tara's concern is this is going to dry up rock hard. On the remainder of the hide, we're going to use 1000B, Truebond 1000B. And like I said, we've had really good success. When we first got Truebond, we liked to try all the different products. And we took Axis deer back skin and tanned it our usual manner, and then we stretched it on a board, and we stapled it around the perimeter of the board. First we put it in a wash machine, spun it out real good, put it on some towels, got the moisture out of it, tacked it out on a board, and as it started to dry, we like to warm this up. Any of the tanning oils we use, we like to put them in a little container like this and warm them up in the microwave, get them not hot by any means, not boiling, but nice and comfortably warm. We rubbed it on the Axis deer skin, and it soaks in. It soaks in real nice and gives them a real pretty color, pretty leather color. And as it started to dry, we took a scraping tool and scraped it to stretch the fibers, and man, it turned out almost like a wall hanging. It was really, really nice. And we did it with a fallow deer, same results. And so that's our plan for the remainder of this.
So we'll just oil this back half.
Yep.
Let it, do you think we let it hang? I was kind of thinking we might let it hang to let the moisture come out of the hair.
I think so.
And then roll it up.
Don't let it get so dry that it won't absorb this, but let it get dry enough to be thirsty for this, I guess is how I like to describe it.
I'm just going to keep going.
You go.
Okay?
You just keep going. I like talking, and you're better at working.
John Morley says, thanks Matuskas, these videos are great. Tell Tom I learned through the Elwood correspondence course. Yep, I'm old.
J.W. Elwood, so did I. My mother subscribed me, or I begged and begged and begged, and I got the instruction manuals. I still have them. And if you became a taxidermist through that course, you accomplished something, because I think I flunked. I had so many blackbirds in my folks' basement. I'd skin them out, not know what to do with them, because blackbird skins dried out quite rapidly, and then I didn't know what to do with them, so they went on that pile. And I had quite a few little blackbird skins that met their demise at my Daisy BB gun.
Our little 14-year-old probably should be reminded that we can't
You can't do blackbirds anymore. No more blackbirds.
No more blackbirds. Starlings, but no blackbirds.
No, that was, look back at those, and the way the correspondence course was actually all we had in those days. And a lot of the deer were mounted on the skulls with clay put around them, Excelsior,
sure.
2x4 for the neck wrapped in Excelsior. Anybody that turned themselves into a taxidermist with that really, really accomplished something.
Artists. Those were true artists doing very artistic things.
Tim Calvert says, tell the guys they're doing a very good job at showing how to do taxidermy the right way and to keep it up.
Well, I don't know about the right way, but it is the A way.
It is
it's
A way. It is A way.
Zach Ramirez is wondering, what are you going to use to keep your earbuds in place?
Those earbuds, once this is sewn up and there's some glue around those earbuds and they're already conformed to the side of the head, should stay. Most often, I'd say 85% of the time, they will stay in the position that we want. Now, because those earbuds were clay, I am a terrible one for mounting a deer and saying, man, just because of those antlers, that ear would look nicer if I raised them up a little bit or tipped them back a little bit. And by having clay ear butts, you can do that. Even though they're formed on the ear liner and you have the Pro 1 around there, they're still, that Pro 1 keeps them from drying out. They're still squishable and movable and malleable, that you can conform them to the head. You can move them up and down and adjust them, which is good for my style.
So if they don't look dead enough, we can make them look deader
We
tomorrow?
can make them look deader. We can droop them more. You can do a lot of different things with that type of ear. You're not locked in like you are the hard purchased ear liners. You know, there's some that you snap right onto the ear butt right onto your ear liner, and that's what you get. You're not going to be able to tip them backward or forward because they're going to have a big air gap underneath there. So this works good for that, and they should stay in place. If they don't, for some reason, if your ears, you got a little slack there and they're starting to droop, I just helped a student this afternoon. We took a sharpened wire and we put it in a drill and we just drilled it right through the bottom of that plastic ear liner, right into the form, and then bend the ear liner how you want it. The wire will follow the bend, and it will hold them there, and you take it out after they harden up. That's a long explanation for a short question.
It's a good explanation, though. That's good. There's just a little excess tuck skin here I'm going to get rid of around the eye.
And we do on the, like Brett has a little, if you aren't familiar with this, a little apron of skin around the eye, and we actually split the eye skin all the way to the lid. Has to be to the very, very black or dark brown of the lid. And then we like to make a little channel between the eye and the clay that we modeled the eye shape on there. And then he will tuck that skin up in that little channel that he's cutting. If you have real soft clay, you can omit the channel and kind of tuck it into the clay.
This is the soft one that I just did, so it just tucks in.
That one's
really
a good
nice.
one. The other one we're going to need a chisel.
It might be a little firm, but this one is going to tuck.
And you're
really
using
nice.
a pin. Do you always use a pin?
I don't always use a pin, but I wanted to move my skin around and I was in a hurry. But I do like a pin. It works pretty good. But just make sure that you're not getting your skin folded under itself when you use a pin. You get it kind of horseshoed, I think they call that.
And then anytime you're using metal tools on eyes, make sure you don't scratch them. It'll make you sad.
Yes, it will.
We have a lot of people throughout the year call in and want to know how to heal a scratched eye. And that can be a tough one.
That can be a tough one. There goes my microphone.
I'll get it. Carefully get it.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I'm just going to adjust a little bit of skin here and then tuck his tear duct.
Jim Reichs is wondering if you use carding on the ears.
We do both. Most often, with this method, if everything lines up and if the ear liner is inserted all the way, no carding is necessary. We do not use a lot of carding in our deer period. We have recently, I suppose over the last couple of years, started, Mark Gonnering had a nice little, I think he uses like linoleum, and he cuts out little horseshoe shapes that goes around the end of the ears. And it seems to work real good, and you save them from deer to deer to deer. And you started taking our fish carding screen, right? And that fish carding screen, you've got little patterns, and we do like to card those ears until they, solidify into their thin edge, and it works real well.
It does. It gives a nice little, any imperfections or little issues you might have in your splitting, it just helps them a little, gives them a little support while it dries. But for the most part, do a really good job of splitting your ears and putting your ear liners in, and you shouldn't have.
Now, the mention of carding on the ears brings to mind years and years ago when I used to do deer, you carded everything, you pinned everything. We were using dextrin hide paste. Anything you could do to keep from having drumming. You'd take bird neck material and you'd pin it in, staples and nails and all kinds of things. And shortly after that, Sally Dames, Breakthrough came out with Sally Dames' article on, I think it was mounting whitetail deer, maybe mounting whitetail and mule deer, and they didn't use any carding or pins. And I thought that is just like why would you ever do that? Because stuff's going to drum like crazy. We always used lots of staples and lots. We had a little, like a 20 gauge brad nailer that we would fill those deer full of brad nails and then countersink them, but nothing was going to move. And since then we have evolved into, we card literally nothing with the advent of Pro One, especially, and Derma, some of those better hide pastes. You don't need to push the glue out of the details so that it's not filling in your low spots, and you do not need a lot of pins. You'll see everybody pin their lips like crazy. If you're pinning things, your skin is not thin enough. So instead of spending your time pinning and stapling and carding, spend your time thinning.
That's a great point. Nice thin leather is going to be very manageable.
This is going to be the best looking dead deer I've ever seen.
The not deadest deer we've ever not done. Could use a little brush, but right now he's just tucked in. We've got a little bit of work to do there. Another eye to tuck on this side, but his lip is tucked. His nostrils are fairly well tucked. We could go around here. We're going to sew him up probably. We don't need to sew him up for them, do we?
No, we'll have it done for next week, I think. Something that is really fun to watch. We have the taxidermy class in session right now, and we had deer heads last week. And I think we did the nicest group of deer heads that we've ever had. They're pretty nice, aren't they?
It's a nice batch of deer.
We tell the students, the people that slide their head when they're done off to the side and start another one are not going to have as nice a product as the people that continually primp and move and play, and how come this hair is like that? How do I get that over there? And it's always our girls. The girls are babysitters. They're just born babysitters, and they're very good at spending a lot of time on these. And their work tends to show. You can see who did what, but all of them have done a really, really exceptional job, and we haven't even got to finish work. Game heads really pop when you start applying the paint and doing the texture on the nose, all of those sort of details, but we've got a really nice batch going. I was pretty excited about all of them.
They do, and I think we've got one pack mount left to do. I think Doug's been waiting to do his pack mount, so hopefully we haven't led anyone astray.
That's why we're practicing.
That's right. We'll figure this out, Doug, we promise. Yeah, last week's eye is a little hard.
Oh, is it hard? I bet it's hard.
We might put just a little juice on it and see if we can get it softened up just a shade.
And like with that critter clay, even critter clay, which dries really, really hard, it will soften up with a little bit of water on it, a little moisture. Hello, what do you think of our pack mount?
You're doing really good. I don't see a pack.
Coming
soon to a pack near
Next
you.
week will be the rolling of the hide, the hatchet and the lantern and the bedroll and the cot and the elk bugle and the
fly rod,
lunchbox and the fly rod.
Tent.
Mandy's got to go get accessories.
Jig and Jim says maybe design a plastic eye tool, and you might address this, but we have a really good new eye tool, dual-ended.
We do. The little
paintbrush.
Yeah.
I love using a paintbrush on eyes. I use a paintbrush all the time. The little filberts or the angular shaders, you're never going to hurt an eye, and they're stiff enough to move your skin. I love my paintbrush.
But now, this year, we have the one with the
with the angle, it's plastic on the other end, and you can use the plastic end to be a little more forceful.
My clay is cracked underneath. We're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait just a little bit before we get much further into that, tucking that.
You didn't have to say that. They can't tell.
I think they might have seen it. But it's going to go together nice. We've got everything. Now we would probably let this taxi, we'll let it tack up a little bit, taxi the skin around the nostril edges, make sure everything's tucked in as far as you need it to, that your hair pattern goes all the way inside, and either today or tomorrow we would put a plastic material inside, just something to hold it in place while it dries.
Do you have to add the tongue?
Yeah, we have an add-on tongue somewhere.
No, we don't not. Do not.
We could have a little.
Don't say that. Don't say that in front of Mandy. She'll have us modeling a tongue by tomorrow.
A deer tongue.
Anyway, I think this is going to go pretty good. We'll sew it up, finish the face, treat it just like a head mount. And when you're thinking of a pack mount, don't think, oh, that'll be easy. I'm going to throw it together. I can charge half the price.
Oh gosh.
No, you can't. You have a change out head in here. You're going to put all the work in here just because it's not a live looking deer. You're going to put the time into this. You've got to soften that skin. You've got the expense of a pack. You probably tanned or commercially tan the whole rest of the hide. So you're not saving any money here. So don't do your pack mounts for half price just because the deer is half the size.
I hope we made it look hard enough that they'll charge plenty for it. It's every bit as much work.
What you got there?
We probably should talk a little bit about shows real quick. There's a lot of shows that are still going and there's some that are canceled. If I don't mention your show, let us know and we will throw it in with our list. But Georgia just had theirs. Pennsylvania is March 20th, 27th, and it's virtual. You have Iowa and Minnesota, March 25th to 28th. May 6th through the 8th is California. All three of those shows have the Professional and Masters Matuska Award, Competitors Award. You have May 6th through the 8th is Wyoming. May 13th through the 16th is Indiana, who has a Professional and Masters Award. Louisiana is May 14th through the 16th. June 3rd through the 5th is Colorado, Oklahoma, Oregon. June 4th through the 6th is Nebraska. June 10th through the 12th is South Carolina. In West Virginia has a Masters Award. June 9th through the 12th, same. Utah has a Professional and Masters Award. June 24th through 27th is Alabama and Texas. June 9th through 11th is Ohio with the Professional and Masters Award. June 16th to 18th is Arkansas with Professional and Masters Award. Kentucky is that same weekend. July 22nd through the 24th is National. I think that's the first show we're going to this year in South Dakota, Sioux Falls. July 29th through the 1st is Missouri. August 6th through the 8th is Maine. To be determined is New Mexico. Ones that canceled so far are Florida, Illinois, Kansas, Maryland, Michigan. I think they're having a meeting instead. Mississippi, Montana, North Dakota, New York, South Dakota, Virginia, Wisconsin.
And those were all the early ones.
That's like school closings.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't want to be responsible for what you just read.
I know. So with everything going on, we just want to give you guys a heads up. For those that are looking for shows, mark those ones down. If it's worth it for your drive, go check them out. It's a great learning experience, great seminars.
And did you mention the world?
I have not mentioned the world yet. No, but that is
I think
August 28th
Kathy still
weekend.
had that on for August. I
August
think.
28th, and we will be going to that. That and Nationals are the two that we are doing.
So in a virtual show, do they still have the icebreaker and the keg of beer and all that kind of stuff?
It's BYOB.
You do that all by yourself?
I will say we missed the boat on that. Wisconsin did a very, very good job. I believe it is Tara and Amanda. There's a couple people that put on the virtual cheers and stuff, and we missed.
Oh, really?
I
didn't know about this.
Elsewhere, but everybody was sending pictures. It definitely makes you miss your
I
family.
did not know
I was very
this.
impressed with that. Some things that are back in stock, and we're not putting everything online because they're select, so our Facebook viewers are definitely the first ones to see this stuff. We have select pair eyes, select Tohican eyes, AB Euro eyes just came in today. So our AB 210, which would be in your mallard eyes, your mallard kits.
And they're out.
And now they're sold out.
Those are now available, so you can go get those. The redhead, all that stuff. Reflective eyes, we just got a batch of reflective eyes. I don't think they sent some bear. We do have Bobcat select ones in.
Oh, Doug will be happy.
We got lots of orders coming.
Just a word about these back orders. I mean, all of our foreign shipments were stopped at customs. You know, why stop a plastic eye? They look in the boxes, they examine them, they look at the bill of lading, all that stuff, but they still hold them at customs. I just had a call on plywood today. Our plywood, literally, a 4x8 sheet of plywood, wholesale for us is double the price. Double the price, which goes into the back of every one of your mannequins.
Oh my.
And that used to be a $1.50 piece of plywood. Now it's a $3 piece of plywood. So everything is changing. Gas prices are up. Now we're going to get surcharges on all of our vendors. I mean, all of our trucking companies and
shipping.
things like that, which they never go the other way when prices go down. But expect the taxidermy industry to become, you know, doing taxidermy to be a little more expensive. Not scary.
I know, but just be prepared. But also keep that in mind when you're doing your pricing for customers. You guys need to keep that in mind to maybe it's time to up certain things and make sure you're covered.
And I might get in trouble for saying this, but don't be afraid to call the girls out front here and let them help you with some of your pricing. We have quantity discounts, total cost. Based on that. Sales, we have Facebook sales all the time.
If you want to do pallet orders, that's a whole different discount.
We
So
send,
that surpasses.
I have seen more pallets
Yes.
go on semis in the last 2 weeks than I ever have.
So pallet discounts actually go above your 12, you're over 1,000. So if you want to do pallet, there again, everybody's behind, we're behind, so pallets are waiting a little bit longer, but you're also, if you're ordering a pallet, you're working ahead and not waiting for the last minute for a one form order. Driftwood, we just got select driftwood in.
Oh, wow.
You guys are the first to really know about it.
I didn't even know about it.
I didn't
It is
either.
in. So we got quite a bit of driftwood in, but it goes so fast. Gallons of peroxide are back in. Again, you guys are the first to know because it's select for that. Those are getting hard to get right now. Pro One chemicals, we got asked to get Terry's bird and fish tan. Is that bird and fish tan?
Oh, yeah,
from
yeah,
Pro
yeah,
One?
yeah.
We now have that in the quarts and gallons, so
Well, that's
ask the
fun.
girls. Scythe knife, our stainless steel scythe knife, those have been back ordered for a couple
Ever.
months. So we just got a whole bunch of those in.
We better get this thing caped out.
LT paints, those have been hard to get right now. And if you guys are noticing, your LT paints are coming without your flip top cap. They can't get those caps anymore, so it makes your pouring a little bit more annoying. Maybe you're refilling your other
We take ours
bottles.
off anyway.
We do.
And you got the little siphons.
Yes,
we've
so
got
now
the
we
little-
sell the caps, the replacement caps. So if you haven't seen those before, take advantage of the LT nozzle or little bottle tap replacements. But those are the stuff back in stock, and you guys are the first to know.
Yep.
This is going to look so good that I think we are going to do every single shoulder mount into a pack mount. This is going to be really
Well, when we
nice.
add one of those fancy packs, they do look pretty nice.
There you go.
And I've seen those coming in by the piles and piles.
Oh my God, and going out. They're going out as fast as they come in, which is pretty fun.
Doing good. What's your giveaway?
Oh, our giveaway is that little,
Tell them about that.
this is our little detail angular brush is what it's called.
They're out of stock.
Oh
No,
no.
I'm kidding.
Oh no. I saw a box of these bigger than me. And I looked and I thought, oh my gosh, I thought they'd be out of stock. These are great. Great for detail work like this. Getting into ears, getting under ears, getting over ears. They're just nice. They're little wire bristles. We go through these. I mean, we have several of them in the shop.
We literally wear them out.
We do wear them out. It's kind of fun to see some of the bigger taxidermy supply companies come, or taxidermy studios come to one of the shows and buy these things by the dozens.
It's one of those
From
tools
us.
that we hear over and over again that people would not, they would stop production without their little angle.
It's a great
angle
little
brushes.
angular brush. Can't do taxidermy work without it. You're gonna love it. When you get one, you're gonna want more than one. And that's our giveaway.
And to get the giveaway, you gotta like, share, tag a friend. Make sure to share, that's the main one. And the winner is?
Paul Swancut.
Congratulations, Paul. You're going to love it. Your dog will love it. Your cat will love it.
And
Your wife
if
will
you
love
got to
it.
get in a hurry to get ready for live,
That's what, you do that too? Thought I was the only one. I run in the bathroom, wet my hair, and I take the grooming brush. You
I
really
don't know
do.
if you even get to the bathroom. You just go over to the workstation over here.
Thank you very much for joining us, and we hope you try a pack mount. And I think this is gonna. I'm getting pretty excited about this. His little eyes look exactly
Dead as dead can
exactly
be.
as good as I hope they would look.
Tastefully done.
They are tastefully done. And we're going to put this on the pack. We'll get this now in between now and next week. We're going to sew up our little Y incision. It's not very long. And get that sewed up. We'll position him and groom him. There again, a dead deer on a pack mount should not be too, it probably needs to be like that. But I would prefer him to be a little nicer than that. So we're going to make him tastefully. And we'll have figured out how to put him on the pack, and we'll probably show you how to deal with the rest of the hide. We'll probably do this in between now and then.
Yep.
So this hide will be softened. So we kind of told you how to do it with the Truebond 1000B, but we'll show you the results of that. I think you'll be pretty impressed.
yeah.